Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ethos Online. This again is a place where we can be, belong, and become the very best version of ourselves. And so, as always, I want to just remind you, if you want to partner with us, continue to support what we're doing, sharing these videos, please consider donating to www.ethos-church.org/donate. And also, if you want to like this page, this YouTube page, please consider liking, clicking that little bell. And so we have been moving through this Sermon on the Mount, and it's been such a fun journey. I've gotten so many emails from so many of you, and you've said, this is, I've never looked at it this way. Again, it's a beautiful, beautiful teaching that Jesus offers, or someone might say the writers offer. However you want to look at it, either way, this is a great way to learn how to live more fully. And so again, Jesus climbs up onto the mountain, right? And he begins sharing about the law. And again, any Jewish person will make the connection, right? Jesus wanders the wilderness for how many days? 40, just like Israel and Moses wandered for 40 years. Over and over again, these writers are attempting to say something really profound. And it's simply this: Jesus is the next Moses. Jesus is the next David. Jesus is the next individual character, message, movement that's going to bring Israel into a new place of being. That's the point. That's the reason this is being shared. And so again, the Sermon on the Mount is a deeper critique into the heart of the law. Over and over again, we understand that. It's a deeper critique. It's taking this and it's unpacking it further. It's what a rabbi would do. And so again, this is given at a time post 70 AD when their temple's destroyed and they're asking the question, where's God? Where's our hope? What happens to our tribe? How do we live fully right here, right now? What happens to the kingdom come reality we've been waiting for? And so again, the writers of the Gospels are simply saying it's no longer found in the temple. It's no longer found in simply the religious institution or the political institution. It's actually found in you. You are the living, breathing reality, the kingdom come reality. Everywhere you go, kingdom come follows. Beautiful, right? It makes sense when you really get to the heart of it. And so the law is given again, Law 2.0. We went through all these different blessings, what they mean, what they don't mean. And now we moved into this section where Jesus says over and over again, kind of what every rabbi would be doing at that time. He says, you've heard it said this way, which again is a reference toward the Torah, the older teachings. You've heard it said this way. Let me add a little more. Let me pull from this and put a twist on it so that you can see something further. And again, this is what a good rabbi, a good teacher does then and even today. They'll take something, they'll unwrap it and show the significance, the deeper meaning, the way to live it. And this is what Jesus does over and over again. So the writers are wanting you to see Jesus is going to unwrap this even further, make it more applicable, right? So our next section is actually pulling from, Jesus is looking at the sixth commandment, which of course is don't murder, right? Thou shalt not kill. And so Jesus, he looks at this deeper meaning. I've had so many people, especially people in the military, they'll ask me, man, for a living, I go out and I try to protect our country. And sometimes I make really difficult decisions. I had one friend, he said he was sitting there as a sniper, and he's watching as this individual is walking toward a crowd, a large crowd, and the individual looks really bulky, but he's a skinny dude, but up here is really bulky, and he begins questioning, this guy probably has a bomb, and sure enough on the radio it says, there's an individual, we believe he has a bomb. Strapped to him, he's walking toward the crowd. And my friend in that moment had to make this really difficult decision. And again, no one wants to make that kind of decision. And I'm not claiming whether it's good or bad. I'm not fighting for violence here. I'm simply saying my friend had to make a really, really difficult decision. And it's essentially followed him the rest of his life. He made the decision to shoot the man. And later on, they found out he was strapped with bombs. He would have walked right into that crowd of people and murdered not thousands, a bunch of people, maybe 20, maybe 30. He would have murdered them all, innocent people. And so my friend, who didn't want to kill anyone, made a really difficult decision. And his question to me was, is this going to be held against me? Did I murder someone? Did I break the sixth commandment? And here's my response to that. When you understand what this word murder means and the context within it, it actually begins to become way more applicable, and it actually makes more sense to especially my friend who's going through this kind of ethical dilemma of what do I do with this? And so if you look here, ratsash, it means to slay with premeditation. It is talking about basically the intentional taking of someone's life without any kind of reason, just a unjustified murder, going out and doing what you see often with terrorism. It's basically terrorism. I'm shooting someone just because I can. I'm going out and murdering someone without any cause, without any justified cause. I'm just killing for the sake of killing. And in the Bible, for these ancient people, they would call that murder today. You see the difference? And there is one, and I think it's an important one. And so again, Jesus looks at this deeper teaching. He says, you've heard it said this way, but let me go a little further now, right? So we understand now murder, killing, we understand what this means when it doesn't mean, right? My friend who had to make that difficult decision, I don't think that would be considered murder. Yes, you made a difficult decision, you took a life. I'm not so sure that would be murder, but please argue with me all you want. But again, we understand the difference now, but let's go further. So it reads like this. It says, you have heard it that if it was said to people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, Raka, right, is, of course, you understand that word, right? Raka is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. The word there, Gehenna, right? The garbage dump, where death happens. That's the deeper meaning here. Not a literal place where you're continually burning people. No, that's more about Dante's Inferno than the scriptures. So it keeps going. Therefore, if you are offering a gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in the front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. It continues, settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny. So, we're talking about murder today, right? We're talking about the heart of it. We're talking about something deeper that Jesus moves into with this teaching. Again, critiquing the heart of what the sixth commandment means. And so again, let's look at this first part. You've heard it said, again, long ago, you shall not murder. Anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. And then don't even say Raka, right? Raka is answerable to the court. So what does all this mean? Again, understand these individuals who are writing this gospel, they are taking pieces from the Old Testament and essentially they're putting them into the gospel. And so when you understand the deeper meanings and a lot of these pieces behind what you're not reading, if you were a Jewish person, you would hear this verse and you'd immediately think of this verse because you knew Torah inside and out. You would know Leviticus 9, 16 through 18. Because essentially this is exactly what it says. You must not walk about with a slanderer among you. You must not stand idly by when your neighbor's life is at stake. I am Yeshua. You must not hate your brother in your heart. Sorry, Yahweh. I just said Jesus. You must not surely reprove your fellow citizen so that you do not incur sin on account of him. You must not take revenge or bear a grudge against your children or your people, but must love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh. So again, the writers here are inserting this piece to remind them this is how the ancients viewed it. And here's maybe what we've missed in this first century as we're dealing with our enemies. And so what does this word raka mean? Here we go. Raka, it basically means to call someone empty-headed. It's basically using your words to put others down. That's what it means. It's like saying dumbhead or stupid or moron or anything that potentially is a put down. So does that mean that anyone that name calls is going to hell? or is going to be put to death immediately. Is that what this means? No, right? No, not really. But it is looking at the deeper heart of it. When you call someone something, when you attack someone verbally even, it's just as bad if you had murdered them. That's what Jesus is saying here. And it might seem really extreme. But think about these words from Charles Anderson. Again, awesome critique on how important and how important it is to use our words wisely. He says this: at the heart of name calling is abuse. Think about that just for a second. At the very heart of name calling is abuse. So anytime you have been called a name, that was a form of abuse. And no wonder it hurt like it did, because it was abuse. And now think about the other side of it. Anytime you have basically played a part in name calling, you've done the same. And I know it sounds really extreme, but it's kind of true, isn't it? We partook in abusing someone. And he says, we mentally are attempting to hurt the other person by placing hurtful labels. Interesting, right? And so what Jesus is essentially saying here is this murder thing, this action, actually goes even deeper. It started before the murder, before the killing even took place. Because deep at the heart, you are breaking relationship. You're breaking relationship with your conscience. You're breaking relationship with community. You're breaking relationship with the people around you, maybe family, friends. You're breaking relationship. And that's the deeper sin, if you want to call it sin. That's the deeper issue here. It's about hurting others. It's about breaking relationship. He continues, Charles says, and I love this part, observe which side resorts to the most vociferous name calling, and you are likely to have identified the side with the weaker argument, and they know it. I like this. Anytime someone has to resort to name calling, it's essentially because they've just worn away any kind of truth there. They're just mad and they're taking it out on you. They're abusing you. And so at the heart of this commandment, Jesus is saying, look, we can say no murdering. Great. But let's go even deeper. It's about relationship. When you break relationship, when you abuse someone else, you are hurting community. And if we're supposed to live in peace and connection, harmony, tikkun olam, if that's the goal we're aiming toward, this is going to stop that. This is going to be a huge barrier between us and shalom. And so it has to start there, even with the thought, right? And if we can remember, frame it in a way that this is actually breaking relationship in so many ways, my relationship to the world, to the community, to the earth, to myself, when we understand it and we begin thinking of it in a little bit deeper way, our actions might change. That's the deeper truth of it. And so it says, therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Ever have these moments where you have something you've done and there's like some guilt associated with it? You knew the thing went against your moral, your ethic, right? You went against the thing, and yet you go to work and you're trying to do good, but that thing doesn't go away. Ever have that happen? No amount of doing other good things takes that guilt and that pain away until you deal with the thing. If you hurt someone and yet you're going out to the food kitchen or a shelter and you're helping out the homeless, that's going to feel good, but it doesn't take away this, does it? And we might try this. Anyone ever you get in a big argument with your spouse, right? Your partner, whatever, and basically you give them a gift to try to settle things, soothe things over? Most partners are going to catch on immediately. They're going to be thankful for the gift, but they're going to say, this is good. Like, this is really nice, right? I like this. But we have some stuff we have to deal with. We have some stuff we have to talk through. And so again, the gift giving is great, but Jesus is essentially saying we need to go back and we have to deal with the thing first. Once that thing is dealt with, we begin to work, we interact with the world around us freely. There's nothing weighing over our heads. We're not constantly living in guilt and shame anymore because we dealt with the thing that we knew went against our ethic. That's what Jesus is saying here. Continuing on, settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Again, settle it now. Don't wait. Don't put it off. My wife and I, we have this deal, and we never go to bed angry. And we've had to kind of learn this. We always kiss goodnight. This idea here is so profound. If I can learn to deal with the thing now, yes, maybe I walk away for a few minutes. Maybe I let some anger out. I go running or whatever the thing is. But we deal with it as soon as possible, right? Because the longer the thing festers, you've all seen the pimple analogy. It gets festery and pussy and gross, and it bursts, right? Because that's what happens when things aren't dealt with, when there are conversations that need to happen and we don't deal with them quick enough. It festers, it grows, it gets bad, and it blows. It just blows up. And so the advice Jesus gives here is pretty profound. Deal with the thing now. Go to your neighbor, have the difficult discussion. If you do that, the blow up, the moment where outrage happens, where we actually murder someone, where we actually hurt someone, where we abuse someone, that never happens because we dealt with the issue first. We went to them before the thing festered and grew and got terrible. Can you imagine if the world worked that way? When there was an issue in our lives, when there was abuse, we dealt with it head on. We dealt with it, and the whole goal was to find shalom. Imagine if that's the way the world ran. And so again, that's the goal. That's the place we hope we land. And again, if you are a Jewish person and you understand Tikkun Olam, kingdom come reality, that's the direction we go. Beautiful? So in the words of Jesus, I might say this. If Jesus were here today, I think he might say something like this. Walk fully in peace even when there is conflict and anger. Learn to move through it. Let peace be the goal. And when it is, we won't have these issues of school shootings. We wouldn't have these issues of murders and terrorism, all of these things. We could potentially remove that from our narrative, or as best we can, right? So how do we do it, right? Easiest thing in the world to talk about, but how do we actually live this thing out? Here's etiquette expert Elaine Swan. Elaine Swan, what she does here is really interesting. She says, here's some ways that we can deal with conflict so we don't let the thing fester and grow. So here's some ways that you can actually apply these teachings to your everyday life. Because if we can't apply them, what's the point, right? So number one, don't react in the moment. Because it's so easy to do. When someone hurts you, when someone abuses you, it's very easy to turn around, punch them in the throat, right? It's very easy to get reactionary, yell back those angry words that are going around in your mind. But I love this advice. Don't react in the moment. She says this, put some time and space between the incident. And again, that doesn't mean weeks of time and space. It means a little bit of time and space. Don't put it off though. We're not taking time and space to put it off. We're taking time and space to simply let ourselves relax a little bit. Let the anger reside because that's a secondary emotion. Relax, put some time and space in between. When we react, especially in the heat of the moment, we have a tendency to do the wrong thing and possibly even say the wrong thing, and we make matters worse. So take a little bit of time if you find that your first reaction is anger. Good. Next one. How do I hope to end this, right? How do I hope this whole thing ends? Think positive thoughts, right? Positive outcomes. Before you confront the neighbor, take time to figure out exactly what kind of resolution you want. When I go to that neighbor, remember like, hey, I'm going to them not because I'm angry, not because I want to see them punished. I want to go to them because I want to seek a resolution that's positive. I want to go to them seeking restoration, shalom, tikkun olam. And so what does that look like? I think that's the fun part of it. Imagine the very best possible outcome, then go to them. Know the direction you want to go. It's beautiful. Next, don't get other neighbors involved. I love this. Some people, they're really good at triangulation, right? They'll be mad at someone, and so rather than talking to the person they have an issue with first, they will, of course, go to other people. And they'll say, well, I just wanted to, get a good feel for if it was just me or not. Well, no. The reality is you're feeling insecure and you feel like you need a mob behind you. because it's all about power. If we're going to be honest, people who triangulate, they love the conflict, they love the drama. And so we want to avoid the triangulation. Rather than getting a bunch of people involved, gossiping, what we want to do is we want to go directly to the person. Triangulation always brings the worst results. It rarely ever will bring peace and harmony between two people. Deal with it together. When you get others involved, you get a bunch of other opinions, other people, they basically fuel the fire, she says. We don't want that if resolution is where we're going. And you can pick up on who your friends are and who your friends aren't by just simply watching how they deal with conflict. If you notice all your other friends know about this issue between you and that person, they're triangulating. They're not dealing with the issue. Another one is this: don't pile things up. Leave the complaints to a maximum of 3. She says, basically, don't let everything just pile up until you're ready to explode. It's good advice. And lastly, seek resolution. Seek resolution. Once you know what you want to happen, basically ask for it. Go to the neighbor, say, look, I've thought about this a lot. Or the person you're at fault with, whoever. Go to your adversary. Why can't I say that word? Your adversary. Go to that person you're in conflict with. Go to them and say, look, my heart wants to do the right thing. I want us to be friends again. I want us to be at peace. I don't want us to be in constant conflict. I hope that you and I can have a good relationship. Imagine if you started the conversation that way. I'm hoping that this is where this lands. Can we get there? What can we do to land there? I think when we do, those words of Jesus, they begin to that seed is planted and it grows. And our friendships prosper from it. So again, are you the one that brings peace and connectedness? Yes, it's you. You're going to be the one that brings it. You're going to be the one that brings this kingdom come reality now. And it's essentially by us choosing to seek resolution with each other. So everyone, I love you. Thanks so much for joining us. That was fun. So as always, please consider donating to ethos-church.org/donate and partner with us again and join us for our living room sessions. If you want to join us, be a part of a conversation live, please email me at Tony, WUERF as in Frank, EL @gmail.com. And let me know if you want to do that. I'll send you the link. It's very easy to do. And you can join us the 1st and the 3rd of every month. And really, really good conversations happen there. You find out you're not alone. And lastly, subscribe. Love you all. Take care. And again, I hope you will be one of those people who essentially doesn't let the pimple get pussy. What a weird way to end. Don't let the thing get so bad that it's ready to explode. Deal with the issue before it ends up in murdering the relationship, causing violence, abuse. Don't let it get there. And the way we don't let it get there is we go to the person first. Good advice. Beautiful advice. Everyone, I love you. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye.